Welcome back everyone to another video on Star Citizen. We're back with the UC quest line. Now we just came back from Londinium and we have
I have
discovered
something
that...
for you.
No, I don't care. We discovered that the heat leeches, which has infected pretty much every ship, or ships going between planets, is the cause of the Terramorph attacks. They are the same thing, they transform into Terramorphs. So, we discovered as well that there was a recording, which Victus, or what the heck his name is, knew about this and suspected he was the cause of murdering everyone for the pure fact that he could weaponize Terramorphs to different planets. I'm not quite sure exactly why he would have done that. Maybe he has anger or betrayal to the UCA and everyone else to put me in prison. We won't know for sure, but this episode we're just gonna go navigate up to him and kind of see what he says. Of course, if it's true, then he's got some explaining to do. Okay. Right, in the weird storage closet of this place.
Authorized personnel. Brent has to stay here.
Well, what a pleasant surprise. When I heard you and Hadrian were headed for Londinium of all places, I presumed you must be onto something big. Did you find what you were looking for?
Found more than... yeah, we did, and a whole lot more.
Good news then. So, what exactly are you doing here? Plenty still to be done in defeating the Terramorphs, no?
I know you're involved in attacking...
Now, what in the heavens would make you claim something as ludicrous as that?
A recording an invisible weapon. You were talking about the Terramorphs.
That's quite the claim, Captain. I hate to think what would happen if such a patently untrue statement reached the ears of the cabinet. Perhaps I can convince you to keep this among us.
No more lies. Confess or I'll turn you over what I found.
You know, you're far more clever than I expected. You want to hear the words, then? I did it. The Terramorph attacks on Tau Ceti, New Atlantis, my doing. Years of coordination between my associate and I, figuring out how to deploy the Lazarus plant's pollen outside of Londinium, learning to synthesize it, use it as a weapon. Now, being as clever as you are, I'm sure you have thoughts on why I might do such a thing.
And a Lancer apparently use it. Associate you've been working with?
You can be more right. The attacks were a correction. When I discovered the plant, I did consider handing over what I'd found, but we were at war. And I couldn't risk information that dangerous falling into the wrong hands. So I ordered the bombing of the Londinium spaceport, fixing two problems at once. Halting the spread of the city's Terramorph outbreak, and sealing away knowledge of the plant's potential.
Why didn't you even trust your own people in UC?
These were the final days of the colony war, Captain. The Freestar Collective had spies everywhere. I was concerned that if word got out, the Collective could swoop down, start breeding Lazarus plants, and overrun our worlds with waves of Terramorphs. Just like what was happening on Londinium at that very moment. Sealing off the city to prevent mass death? It was the only option that made sense at the time. Easy to say now, but in that moment, I wasn't about to add another dangerous variable to an already catastrophic war. But then, as the war ended, my trial, my execution, I made a decision. After all, I'd given everything for the colonies. My life as I knew it included. And what did I get in return? Was there any effort by the UC to protect my legacy? My daughter's legacy? No. We were sacrificed when all we did was serve. so I kept what I'd learned and arranged the attacks to set things right again. My daughter, she becomes a hero. I become a trusted advisor, having found Kaiser, the research team, and cement my new position of influence when I hand them the name of the person responsible for the attack on New Atlantis. The dear departed Dr. Reginald Orlays, the associate who aided me all these years, and whom I always slated to take the fall. What luck he was stopped dead before he could hurt anyone else. His decades on the run brought to an end by another unlikely hero. You.
You coordinate a lot for me.
It wasn't easy. But the beauty of being loathed is that people will do whatever they can not to deal with you. They wanted to pretend I didn't exist. And so I used their blind eye to my advantage. Still, establishing a back channel to Orlays via the UC recovery teams was painstaking work. I've led campaigns less nerve-wracking. They believed they were luring in wanted criminals, but were in fact delivering precisely encoded slates, filled with instructions invisible to any but their recipient, dropped off at just the right moments to fall into the proper hands, all without the UC realizing whom you were actually dealing with. Slow work. But as you can see, ultimately effective. There are no heroes without a villain. I simply arranged the opportunity for us to overcome one and become the other. And we all benefited. It's why I had Orlays reprogram Kaiser. Had that old machine guide you to where I found the plant all those years ago. I went to great lengths to ensure your and Hadrian's success. And look at the results. I know for a fact the Cabinet's planning to honor both you and Hadrian once this is all done. Isn't that preferable to languishing away in obscurity? Running jobs on the tail end of nowhere for the Vanguard? With only the vague hopes of perhaps earning the right to buy a home in the well someday.
What kind of honors are we talking here?
Something befitting the dedication to the colonies you two have shown. While of course they can't give you a command, responsibility like that has to be earned. The Cabinet does have access to considerable resources. I expect you'll be quite pleased with the result, and none of it would have happened without my intervention.
They'll be ordering me for clearing up your messes?
You're being honored only because I arranged the situations where it could happen. Be grateful. And let's not forget the importance of our actual endgame. Eliminating the Terramorphs. Securing knowledge of the Lazarus plant. What we've set in motion is going to protect thousands, maybe millions of lives. I'm
See what
simply
he's done.
requesting one more life be protected. Mine. I've already sent along the evidence of Orlays' role in the attacks to the Cabinet, leaving out my own involvement. All I ask is that you confirm as much to the Cabinet. Tell them that it was Orlays and Orlays alone.
Oh,
After all,
jeez.
I do still have a long list of threats to the UC. This needn't be the end of our good works together. Well, I do hope you'll keep the larger perspective in mind, Captain. We've done something great.
This is difficult because... Whoa. What's the matter in this room? This is difficult because at the end of the day, his intentions, as screwed up as they were to get the Terramorphs cleaned up.
Authorized personnel only. Your friend has to stay here.
His intentions seem to be, let's clear the Terramorphs by causing a big fuss of them to get someone into it,
Hey,
looking into it, but
you might want this.
the way he's done it is putting more lives in danger. How do I know? Because you just told me 2 seconds ago. Okay, well, we'll see what he says.
Perfect timing. We just got in. So on our end, good news. The microbe and the Aciles are both as effective against heat leeches as they are against terramorphs.
Means either plan should work for clearing those critters off our worlds.
Considering what the Lazarus plant is capable of, I don't think we can deal with those things fast enough. I already sent along info to the cabinet to get them up to speed. So what about your end? Did you find anything? Did my father tell you what he knew about the Lazarus plant?
Man, this is difficult. I don't know what to say here. I lie and she might find out and get upset. I tell her the intel and we get back to her. Let's say the truth. At the end of the day, he's caused more damage again.
I knew it. The second I heard that recording, I knew. Why? Did he say why he did it?
He said he was trying to fix the damage done to the salmon name, make you into the hero.
It takes some deeply twisted logic to think anything did more harm to the Sanan name than him.
He wanted his family's name to be respected again, so he decided to double down on being a monster. What a brilliant strategy.
Well, once we inform the cabinet, they can ensure he won't be able to do anything like this ever again. I'm sure he did. But he killed dozens of people, and I'm not about to let him get away with something like that. So I guess that gives us our final answer. Nothing left to do but head in and see what the cabinet thinks of it all.
Damn.
Unless there was more to discuss. This might be our last opportunity to talk things through before the cabinet weighs in on a decision regarding the terramorphs.
Microbe is going to make the cleanup a whole lot quicker. If we're concerned about this Lazarus plant getting deployed again, that's the way to go.
The cabinet can secure the Lazarus plant, and then we're not risking any surprises when it comes to dealing with a microbe.
You're being paranoid. You know the science. You know we can make this safe.
I do know the science. I also know math, and a 1 in a million chance of a mutation isn't 0. So I guess we're still in discussion. Probably best at this point to let the cabinet weigh in, see if they have a preference. They are.
Microbe needed minimal adjustment to account for heat leech anatomy.
And the Aciles seem like they're even better at tracking leeches than morphs.
Hell of a sight to watch, though, when they catch 'em. Like an open airlock guzzling angry spaghetti.
It's hard to know. Unlike my father, the cabinet aren't butchers. But killing UC citizens, along with everything else he's done, is unforgivable. But if you're really that concerned, you could request they be lenient. They might be willing to spare him. And here we go.
I'm really conflicted with the options here, because at the end of the day his intentions were nobly-ish. It caused 2 problems to be looked into, or 2 things to be looked into at least. Restoring the name and getting us to look into the terramorphs more by planning the attacks. No, okay, fine.
Welcome back, all of you. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. But according to Hadrian's report, and the second one I just received, it seems the terramorph attack on New Atlantis was no random occurrence, but a planned strike. Is what I'm reading here true?
That second report, from who I think it's from?
This report comes from a particularly confidential source both you and I are familiar with, yes. Among the reasons its findings are so alarming. Now, is it true? Was the attack on New Atlantis planned?
Yes, it was a deliberate attack.
My God.
An attack? Using terramorphs? How is that possible?
You will all receive a full briefing once we're done here. So then, is what the second report claims correct? Did Reginald Orlays commit these attacks, Captain?
Orlays? It's true, ma'am. I heard the recording myself. My father figured out how to use terramorphs as weapons.
He did what?
That's impossible. He doesn't have the kind of access to... Clearly, he made his own access, Chief Sarkin. Madam President, I have been saying for years that not dealing with that man was gonna end in tragedy.
Enough! I hope everyone here understands that what has just been shared is a state secret of the highest order. This information does not leave this room. Now, that's quite the accusation you're leveling, considering Francois Sinon has not left containment for the better part of 2 decades. You have evidence to back this up?
It just transformed. A terramorph out of thin air. An invisible weapon. No planet would be safe.
Heavens help us. Is that actually him?
I'd know that voice anywhere. That's Francois.
He knew they could do this, and said nothing.
He's a sociopath. Plain and simple, ma'am.
Officer, please collect that recording.
Yes, ma'am. Begging your pardon, Captain.
We'll, of course, be launching a full investigation into how this could have happened. Though I have little doubt the Admiral will be quick to share all he knows on the subject once confronted with that recording. Chief Yassine, can you send one of your interrogators to have a little chat with the Admiral?
I'll issue the order immediately.
Good. Combined with everything else you all have uncovered. Well, I don't think the United Colonies can thank you enough. We failed the people of the colonies by not dealing with Vevictus sooner. I intend to rectify that mistake immediately. I'm not sure I see why someone with UC blood on their hands would merit leniency. But I will note your request when the decision is made. Now, with our villain unmasked, we can attend to the other matters at hand. With the threads you've brought together here, the Lazarus plant, the attacks, the heat leeches, the 3 of you have likely spared thousands of lives. But it now falls to the Cabinet to ensure this can never happen again. As such, the Cabinet will be securing the Lazarus plant on Londinian. All materials related to the plant will be classified to ensure no one else learns its true nature.
A sound decision, Madam President.
What reference will you see to protect the
Well,
plant?
luckily the natural hostility of Londinian makes keeping out trespassers relatively easy. But we'll ensure its growth is contained, that access to the plant is only permitted via highly regulated clearances, and that our troop presence on Londinian is increased. I'm glad you think so. So then, to our final topic. The Cabinet has agreed to implement a plan that will deal with the Terramorph, and now also Heat Leech presence on human worlds. In fact, we've already begun enacting measures to check all UC ports and settlements for undiscovered nests. But we all understand this is only a partial solution. The project we're embarking on will be a long and difficult one. So our first step must be deciding how exactly this all will be handled.
Madam President, this microbe is clearly too much of a risk. The Aseles are the safer approach.
To someone with limited knowledge of biology, perhaps? The technology behind the microbe is solved science, Madam President. It isn't dangerous. Using it to wipe out the Terramorphs would be the quickest path to protecting humanity.
And fast results always lead to the best outcomes, don't they?
As you can see, there remains debate among the Cabinet. We were hoping your group might issue a recommendation. Major?
We've been having similar debates ourselves, but the Captain has yet to weigh in.
I see. Captain, I know this may not be your area of expertise, but we'd like to know your take on the matter.
There's no questions about the methods.
Please, ask.
What are the dangers of bringing back the asteroids?
I can field this one. While intimidating creatures, certainly, Aseles are docile unless provoked. They're honestly closer to oversized mobile scanners than deadly predators. The concern is that, while all proposed methods will be long-term efforts, the Aseles are the slowest. Slow to breed, slow to deploy. We do everything we could to accelerate that process, including mustering some of our mothballed cloning technologies. But if we do elect to use this method, we'll be doing things at the pace of a megafauna, which is not an expedient one. infinitesimally low.
But not zero.
The chance of a starship landing on you as you sit here isn't zero, yet you still attended. Personally, my fear isn't mutation, but terramorphs developing a resistance. But that's something our group can continue to address if we decide to take this approach, as I believe we should.
Will other factions have any role to play in the cleanup?
This won't work without them.
Exactly right, ma'am. The Interstellar Affairs Office has already begun reaching out to worlds throughout the settled systems, informing them of the risks we're all facing, and that the UC has a plan to prevent what happened on New Atlantis from happening elsewhere. Thus far, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. The spirit of mutual cooperation displayed between the UC and the Freestar Collective in managing the Terramorph data set a good tone for the work we're doing, Captain. We expect we'll hit some resistance, but our office has plenty of carrots and sticks to ensure the program's widespread success.
The responsibilities will be spread across multiple branches of the UC. Research and day-to-day administration will be handled by a new group under the Science Division. All diplomatic concerns and coordination will fall to Chief Yassine and Interstellar Affairs. But most of the actual on-the-ground work, that'll be handled by the Vanguard.
I don't have any other questions.
Very well. Then did you have a preference on the method we should deploy?
Glad to see someone's not afraid of a little applied genetics. The Science Division is in full agreement.
Here goes nothing.
Just some of the most advanced microbiological research humanity's ever deployed. Hardly nothing.
Order, please. And Major Sinan? Dr. Walker, you'd find this acceptable?
We trust the captain's judgment.
Then the matter is settled. We'll begin the process immediately. Today marks day one for the United Colonies Terramorph Management Division, making you three the founding members of the TMD. As befits such a group, the Cabinet wanted to display its gratitude. Today, we will be adding 3 new Class 1 citizens to our ranks.
Yeah, sweet.
Class 1? For the 3 of us? Are you joking?
What he means to say is, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
You all have earned it. Now, there's much to be done. Major Sinan, Dr. Walker, I hope you two are willing to continue your efforts spearheading the TMD's research on Mars.
We'd be honored, ma'am.
And as a member of both the Vanguard and the TMD, I believe you, Captain, will have your pick of duties. Speak to your commander, Tuala, if I recall correctly. He should be able to provide you with assignments going forward, plus help you collect the benefits that come with being named Class 1. On behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our sincerest gratitude. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Well, thank you all for watching this small little video, and what we'll do is we'll come back another time and see what other things we can do here. Anyway, thank you for watching, and peace out.